This next match for the Cruiserweight Championship, honestly, is going to be a really fun one. WWE Cruiserweight Champion Rich Swann is going to be taking on TJ Perkins versus the Brian Kendrick. And I don't want to come out and basically say that WWE has to be a lot like TNA and the X Division Championship, but I remember for that time period, TNA came out and said that all X Division matches were going to be three-ways. All X Division matches were going to be guys under a certain weight, and they ended up going away from that basically because of the fact that they started cutting the roster and they didn't have enough guys in order to always have three-ways. But as far as I know, unless I missed something, when it comes to them being officially cruiserweights, I think this is the first three-way that they've done. And I know that, there is the storyline to everything that's in here. TJ Perkins beat Rich Swann in the Cruiserweight Classic, which was followed up by the Brian Kendrick, who was also beat by TJ Perkins, now that I think about it, in the Cruiserweight Classic. TJ Perkins lost the title to the Brian Kendrick, who then Brian Kendrick lost the title to Rich Swann. And I think on Monday Night Raw, I think we just had, Perkins beat Kendrick again. So, basically in this match, everybody's beat everybody. And it just sort of builds the storyline if you don't really know what's going to happen. I can honestly come out and say that I have not been the biggest fan of 205 Live because of the fact that I was already complaining that there was enough wrestling as it was. I wasn't the biggest supporter of the Cruiserweight Classic. It's not that I don't like to watch Cruiserweight wrestling. I like to watch the Cruiserweights when they're involved in a pay-per-view, or I like to watch Cruiserweights when they're involved on Raw. I just feel like I don't even watch NXT as much as I used to. And NXT for the longest time was my favorite wrestling show that there was because of the fact that it was only an hour. And one of the reasons why I stopped watching NXT was the fact that they hooked on the Cruiserweight Classic on the end of it and took away the 1 hour show that I loved so much, and almost made it where I had to watch both hours, because it's not like you're going to change the channel or just get up and walk away. And that's basically when I broke the status of what's going on. I don't really see all night long Rich Swann losing the championship. I think that honestly, the match that I want to see is Rich Swann going up against... who do I really want to see? I guess I want to see him go up against Alexander, but Alexander is involved in a whole storyline with Alicia Fox as well as Nomar Dar. And I know that from watching just the Twitter clips that pop up, that there's a lot of guys on 205 Live that seem like they're really fun to watch. I just don't have the time to devote to sitting down for an hour. So I know that they're always going to be debuting guys on the roster. I know they want to get a lot of guys over, and in WWE, a lot of the ways that they get guys over is they get them, big wins, and they pass that championship around. So I am looking to think that, they are going to be doing title changes at least on the average of about once a month, maybe once every 2 months, to get fresh new names over. And then when guys are involved in matches, they can call them the former Cruiserweight Champion. Don't forget, this guy, won the big one. He was able to beat this guy to become Cruiserweight Champion. Anybody can beat anybody at any time. I'm still pushing for Cedric Alexander to be the guy. He's one of my favorite cruiserweights, as well as the fact that I've been watching this guy wrestle for ROH, as well as being the referee on $5 Wrestling. And I don't think there's anybody who's going to be involved in wrestling that you can see loves it more than Cedric does. So I want to see him become a star and make it as big as he can in WWE, especially as they have their own cruiserweight show. So I'm not shitting on this match. I know that it's going to be fun. I just honestly know that I don't know. They're cruiserweights. It is what it is. It just seems like it's sort of a filler match. I'm taking Rich Swann to keep the championship, mostly because of the fact that TJ Perkins, as well as the Brian Kendrick, have already had the belt. And I think if Rich Swann's going to lose it, he might as well lose it to somebody who hasn't had it yet.